Welcome to RelapsePreventionPlan.net's free online rehab lessons. We believe that it's never too late to learn to prevent relapse. Welcome to this presentation on alcohol and you. Today, you'll learn to list 3 high-risk situations for drinking, describe 2 functions of the brain that are negatively impacted by heavy drinking, and to list 5 relapse prevention skills that help maintain alcohol abstinence. It's choice, not chance, that determines your destiny. Alcohol is a common problem. 44% of the adult US population report that they are current drinkers and have consumed at least 12 drinks in the preceding year. Those who drink heavily have a significant negative impact on their friends, families, and communities. 14 million Americans, or 7.4% of the population, meet diagnostic criteria for alcohol abuse or dependence. Alcohol leads to harm to others. Traffic accidents involving alcohol killed more than 16,000 people in the US in 1997. 1 in 4 victims of violent crime, or 2.7 million victims per year, report that the offender had been drinking alcohol before committing the crime. The estimated economic cost of heavy alcohol consumption in the US was $185 billion for 1998 alone. Alcohol is a drug. If everybody uses it, how can it be a drug? People go to bars, have a few drinks, drive home, and nobody cares because they're drinking only alcohol, because they're only drinking alcohol. At my house, beer and wine in the fridge are right next to the milk and orange juice. You don't see cocaine or heroin sitting in people's refrigerators. Alcohol is only a drug for people who can't handle it. Alcohol dependence is commonly found with drug dependence. 85% of people meeting criteria for cocaine dependence also met criteria for alcohol dependence. 71% of people sedative, hypnotic, or anti-anxiety drug dependent were also alcohol dependent. 65% of people with heroin opioid dependence also met criteria for alcohol dependence. 45% of those with cannabis dependence were also alcohol dependent. Alcohol-related impaired judgment interferes with efforts to remain abstinent from other drugs. So, by reducing or eliminating alcohol use, it improves your outcome after rehab or quitting. Get out a piece of pen and a paper and let's do the alcohol screening test. Take 1 minute to complete CAGE. Answer yes or no. Have you ever felt the need to cut down on your drinking? Have you ever felt annoyed by someone criticizing your drinking? Have you ever felt bad or guilty about your drinking? Have you ever had a drink first thing in the morning to steady your nerves and get rid of a hangover, or called an eye opener? 2 positive responses is the cutoff for a positive test. This test detects dependence and does not assess current problems, levels of alcohol consumption, or binge drinking. Take 1 minute to answer yes or no. Do you have tolerance, which means having to drink more for the same effect? Do you have withdrawal? Do you have impaired control over the amount or duration or how long you drink? Do you have a desire to or unsuccessful efforts to control or stop drinking? Do you spend excessive time getting alcohol, drinking, or recovering from drinking? And do you neglect activities because of your drinking? Do you continue to drink despite having problems? If you've experienced 3 or more of the above within the last 12 months, you have alcohol dependence. Take 1 minute to answer yes or no. Have you had a failure to fulfill major role obligations due to drinking? Have you continued to drink in hazardous situations? Are you drinking despite social or interpersonal problems? If you have experienced 1 or more of the above within the last 12 months, you have alcohol abuse. Here are some common high-risk situations for resuming drinking. So flip your paper over and write down some of your high-risk situations for drinking from this list. Negative emotional states like depression, anger, or anxiety. Interpersonal conflict. Physical discomfort. Testing personal control. Urges and temptations. Social pressure to drink. Or pleasant social situations. And pleasant emotions. So let's cover relapse prevention training for alcohol abstinence. Studies have shown that relapse prevention training reduces days of drinking, amount drunk, and the length of drinking episodes. Cognitive skills such as taught in the Feeling Good Handbook result in better outcomes following rehab/quitting, including abstinence, compared to other treatments. As we go through the next slides, keep going on your piece of paper and write down the skills you want to focus on to be relapse-free. Are you ready? All the skills required are taught in the free book, Make Your Last Relapse the Last. Remember, write down the ones that you want. Identify and manage high-risk situations for drinking through avoidance or using drinking refusal skills. Recognize and manage urges to drink. Challenge them mentally. Recall unpleasant experiences that result from drinking. Anticipate the benefits of not drinking. Distract yourself through relaxation, exercise, and other activities that are incompatible with drinking. And just delay the decision about whether or not to drink. Manage your anger. This is a very common event prior to relapse drinking. Learn internal and external warning signs of anger. Identify feelings of anger early. Use calm down phrases. Identify the things in the situation that are causing feelings of anger. Use problem-solving skills to resolve the situation. And use relaxation skills taught in the Relaxation and Stress Reduction Workbook. Manage negative thinking, which is a high risk for drinking. Recognize types of negative thinking habits that occur automatically. Learn about stopping and substituting positive thoughts or feelings, such as taught in the Relaxation and Stress Management Workbook. Learn and use positive self-talk. Learn to manage negative moods or depression. Use thinking restructuring skills taught in the Feeling Good Handbook. Challenge an unbalanced lifestyle and fill the void left when drinking is stopped. Find enjoyable ways to fill free time that are low risk for drinking. Develop relaxation, recreation, and exercise plans. Manage the incremental effects of small decisions. Think through the consequences of small decisions, such as going for a walk by the old bar. Anticipate potential risks and make different decisions, such as not attending the office Christmas party where drinks will be available. Learn to recognize and select options that will reduce risks and the probability of drinking. Manage daily problems. Learn the generic skill of problem solving. Plan for emergencies. Events cannot be predicted and are likely to precipitate drinking, such as an accident or death in the family. Have a key and taxi money set aside to go to a trusted friend or relative's house any time, day or night. And refuse drinks. Practice saying no without giving a double message. Suggest alternative activities that do not involve drinking. Change the subject of conversation. Ask the person not to offer alcohol anymore. Plan and practice how to respond in a variety of situations where alcohol may be offered. And use trusted friends or family to practice drink refusal skills in a safe environment. Handle criticism. Learn to give or receive negative feedback without feelings of anger. Learn to remain calm or calm down. Learn to use a calm and clear voice. And use the skills taught in the Feeling Good Handbook and the Relaxation and Stress Reduction Workbook. Resolve relationship problems. Improve communication skills through learning and using the skills taught in People Smart and the Feeling Good Handbook, as well as the Relaxation and Stress Reduction Workbook. Improve and enhance social support networks by using communication skills and implementing relaxation, recreation, and exercise plans. Here are some common emotional problems found with drinking. Up to 75% of men and women with alcohol dependence will also at some time in their life experience depression, anxiety disorder, psychotic disorder, personality disorder. So it's important to work through the Feeling Good Handbook and to complete the anxiety, depression, and anger in relationship surveys every Sunday. The more you learn about your mental health and the more ways you develop to control your moods, the greater control you will have over relapse. I know we've given you a lot of homework with 3 separate books to work through. You can maybe pick 1 or 2 days a week where you set aside even 20 minutes or half an hour to do some readings. And then every Sunday, set aside a few minutes, even 15 minutes, to do those anger and relationship surveys. Every little bit helps and will snowball in the right direction. Thinking impairment. Chronic alcohol abuse typically leads to some form of thinking impairment, ranging from mild to severe damage. Studies of detoxified alcoholics have typically found damage in the areas of abstract thinking and problem solving, verbal and or memory skills, visually encoding items, maintaining images mentally and manipulating them, which is a skill useful in everything from rearranging the furniture to fitting luggage into the trunk of a car, and sensory motor skills. Excuse me. Such as those involved in becoming good at sports. Excuse me. Significant individual differences have been found in the extent of impairment and the extent and speed of recovery of functioning once drinking is stopped. Your experience will be unique to you and your drinking history. So, how much is too much exposure to alcohol? Chronic heavy drinking creates serious problems. 2 drinks a day increases the risk of heart disease or cancer. It is not clear how much is too much. Many people who drink do not appear to suffer any damage to their mental functioning. The lack of obvious impairment doesn't mean there isn't any. Studies show that even moderate alcohol exposure can kill and damage brain cells. Recent studies indicate damage occurs much sooner than we previously thought. Even one episode of binge drinking across a couple of days can damage the brain. Alcohol kills brain cells. Brain imaging techniques show the brain shrinks after long-term alcohol use. Alcohol does kill brain cells. The frontal lobe of the cortex, right behind your forehead, is the most vulnerable part of your brain. The frontal lobe allows you to solve complex problems, execute plans, and use judgment. 2 brain areas, the hippocampus and mammillary bodies, are critical to forming memory and are also damaged by alcohol. In someone who drinks chronically, though at a lower level than someone who is clearly addicted to alcohol, the memory function can be damaged as these areas are more sensitive to alcohol. Alcohol's effects on mental functioning. 5 areas of mental ability are consistently damaged by chronic alcohol abuse. Memory formation. It reduces the ability to form new memories. Abstract thinking. It reduces the ability to think in ways not directly tied to concrete things such as size, color, and shape. And problem solving. It causes people to get stuck in a particular mode of problem solving and to take a lot longer to get a solution. They are unable to switch strategies. Attention and concentration. Difficulty focusing attention and maintaining concentration, particularly when tasks require visual attention and concentration, such as reading an instruction manual or driving a car. Perception of emotion. A reduced ability to perceive emotion in other people's language, which leads to difficulty in social relationships. So, does mental functioning return once alcohol damages the brain? Chronic heavy drinkers who quit drinking recovered these functions partially during the first 2 or 3 months after their last drink. Once this time passes, it appears they have recovered as much as they ever will. Some deficits do appear to persist permanently. The more you increase your coping, thinking, and communication skills, the better you will be able to manage and offset any permanent damage you have. And the sooner you stop drinking permanently, the better your outcomes will be. So, what about social drinking? For social drinkers, the pattern of alcohol consumption is important. The more alcohol drunk during each drinking session, the higher the likelihood that mental deficits will develop. This is important if you are a weekend or binge drinker. People who drink on average 3 or more drinks per day are at substantial risk of developing permanent deficits in certain thinking abilities. There is no safe level of drinking during pregnancy. Even 1 drink a day during pregnancy results in impaired brain function in adult children. Women who drink. The percentage of women who drink has increased from 45 to 66% over the past 40 years. As many as 5% of women are heavy drinkers. Women's bodies are generally smaller and have a larger percentage of fat, which causes them to develop a higher blood alcohol concentration than men after drinking similar amounts of alcohol. Women who drink get more impaired. Alcohol dehydrogenate, or ADH, is a chemical in the stomach that breaks down alcohol before it gets absorbed into the blood. Women have less of this chemical in their stomachs compared to men, and therefore more alcohol gets absorbed into their blood. After the same dose of alcohol, a woman will achieve a blood alcohol level 25 to 30% higher than a man. Women will be considerably more impaired than their male companions if they drink the same amounts of alcohol. Birth control pills also slow down the rate at which alcohol is eliminated from the body. A woman who is on the pill can expect to feel the sedating effects of alcohol longer than a woman who is not. So, what is the impact of drinking on women's health? Women who drink are at significantly greater risk for liver damage than men, even if they drink less alcohol or drink for a shorter period of time. This increased risk has been reported for women who drink from 1 to 3 drinks of alcohol per day. The pancreas is also more likely to be damaged by alcohol in women, and they are more likely to develop the damage sooner than men. Women are more likely than men to develop high blood pressure from drinking. High blood pressure is a major cause of heart attack and stroke. This risk is lessened when the woman stops drinking. For women who drink even moderate amounts of alcohol, the risk of increased blood pressure is substantial. Women who drink 2 to 4 drinks per day increase their risk of breast cancer by 41%. The perception of women who drink. Women who drink meet with more disapproval of their drinking than men do. The divorce rate for alcoholic women is higher than for alcoholic men. This means women are less likely to leave relationships with alcoholic men than the reverse. Women who drink heavily are at much higher risk for domestic violence and sexual assault than women who don't drink. A recent study of 3,000 college women found that the more alcohol a woman consumed, the higher her chances were of being sexually victimized. Alcohol, men, and sex. 40 to 90% of male drinkers report reduced sex drive. Chronic drinkers show reduced capacity for erection, they have decreased sperm production, and lower sperm counts. In extreme cases among male drinkers, feminization syndrome develops, with a loss of body hair and development of breast tissue. Consuming even just 2 to 3 drinks a day can reduce your sperm counts. Alcohol and adolescence. Alcohol is the drug most often used by high school students. 80% have tried alcohol, and nearly 1/3 report that they have drunk heavily, which is more than 5 drinks, in the past 2 weeks. 4 or 5 drinks in one sitting is high-risk drinking. 23% of college students report high-risk drinking in the past 2 weeks. 19% of college students describe themselves as abstainers. Beer accounts for more than 80% of excessive alcohol consumption in the US. Beer is the adolescent's drink of choice. 63% of beer drinkers under the age of 24 report binge drinking. Alcohol and the adolescent's brain. The brain does not finish developing until a person is in their mid-20s. The last area to develop is the frontal lobe, the area behind your forehead, and it's responsible for the ability to plan and make judgments. Young brains have rich resources for acquiring new memories and are built to learn. The memory capacity is at risk of damage with alcohol use. Adolescents who drink heavily impair the brain functions they rely on to learn. Studies show the young brain is more vulnerable to damage from heavy drinking, particularly binge drinking. Alcohol is a readily available high. Within a few minutes of drinking alcohol, the effects are felt: a sense of well-being, relaxation, increased confidence, and reduced anxiety. Recent research confirms that just 1 or 2 drinks can slow down brain activity to the point of clouding judgment and affecting self-control. Alcohol, even in small amounts, is hazardous because it impairs judgment, distorts vision, and alters perceptions. It also alters your moods and your emotions. Alcohol is commonly used with other drugs too. Alcohol is used by people on probation to avoid complying with court orders not to use drugs because alcohol cannot be detected after 10 to 12 hours. Alcohol is combined with other drugs to see how high one can get. Combining drugs can lead to addiction sooner and to relapse. Alcohol is most commonly combined with prescription drugs. Marijuana and alcohol are now the most common combination, although alcohol is often combined with other drugs, legal and illegal. Relapse prevention means you must stop drinking. Alcohol is easily available and negatively impacts judgment in even small quantities. Maintaining abstinence from any other drug requires abstinence from alcohol as well. A couple of drinks negatively impact judgment and increases the risk of relapse to drugs of choice and to alcohol. Alcohol negatively impacts problem solving and memory, leading to poor functioning at work, school, and in everyday situations. It negatively impacts your motor skills and judgment, causing unsafe physical actions, leading to poor functioning at school, work, and at home. And it negatively impacts your physical and mental health, leading to illness and distress. It also negatively impacts reproductive functions and relationship skills, leading to loneliness and unhappiness. But your choice is the right choice. The choice you have made to quit drinking is the right choice for your personal health and the health of your relationships with friends, coworkers, family, children, and partners. The work in Make Your Last Relapse the Last is structured to teach you the relapse prevention skills you need to succeed in leaving alcohol behind. You've got to make a conscious choice every day to shed the old, whatever the old means for you. Here's where you can find the original research for this presentation. Pause if you need a moment. And today you learn to list 3 high-risk situations for drinking. You learn to describe 2 functions of the brain that are negatively impacted by heavy drinking. And you learn to list 5 relapse prevention skills that help maintain alcohol abstinence. Don't forget to read and complete Chapter 3 in our free workbook, Make Your Last Relapse the Last, available for download at relapsepreventionplan.net. Even a page or 2 a day is going to make a difference for you. Remember, this video is not a substitute for proper medical care and consultation with your physician or qualified healthcare professional. Don't ignore professional advice or delay seeking treatment based on the information in this video or on this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us. You can do it. We believe in you, so don't give up.